Hey, what's up, Facebook Appointments and Profits group? Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about something really special and really something close to my heart. If you're out there and you just kind of struggle with your sales calls, you're closing less than 30%. I've got a very special guest today, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things. One of the things we're going to talk about is a 1-minute sales call trick that will totally crush and annihilate any price objections up front. And also it's going to help you to raise your close rate pretty easily. Now, this is going to be a controversial tactic, so get ready for it. But it's pretty neat how he talks about it. And I think he can explain it in a really cool way so that you guys can start to test this stuff out in your sales call. So let's go ahead and let's introduce Jeremy Pope. Welcome to the call, man. How are you?
Hello. I'm well. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming, man. So let me tell you a little bit about Jeremy. So Jeremy's been coaching sales since 2005. He's helped over hundreds of failing business owners from bankruptcy by helping them with their sales. He's helped dozens of people become millionaires. He started the first sales call overhaul, which we'll talk about here in a second, in 2016, and he doubled his clients' close rate using this system. And that's basically from one single call review. He was able to do that for his client. So he's a different style of sales trainer. I think you're going to see that as we kind of go through some of his presentation. He used to work for Guthrie Rinker, Belfort. He worked for Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson.
No. This is just a very different style than those things. I did work for Guthrie Rinker.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So it's a different style from some of those different sales tactics that you've learned in the past. So,
right.
Jeremy, welcome to the show, man. So happy to have you. And I'm excited to kind of reveal this little trick that we've been talking about. We're also kind of going to go through your sales call structure. So I'll just kind of let you take it away. I'll be asking questions along the way, and I'm sure people on the call will also have questions as well. By the way, guys, if you're joining on Facebook, there is a link in the description of this post that says add to StreamYard. So if you'll click on that link, then that will actually let us see your name when you comment in the comment section, so we can actually know who we're talking to. So first of all, let's actually see where everybody's calling from. I'm always interested to see, where people are joining in from, and tell us your name so we'll know who you are. And again, click that StreamYard link if you are on Facebook. Okay. Let us know where you're from. So Jeremy, give us a little background. I totally screwed up your bio, so maybe you can.
No, that was great. That was great. I found for a long time that even though I usually would go to number one or number two in a sales organization, whether it was 10 people or 300 people in the organization, it was not because I consider myself a great salesperson. It's because I know how to listen and I know how to let the systems do the heavy emotional lifting. And so I found there are a lot of folks that they are really, I call them givers stuck in a taker process. They've learned how to sell from a biz op coach, which tends to be a very hardcore, hard-ass kind of approach to selling. And the folks that are not really into the Russ Brunson or Grant Cardone sort of approach, there's often kind of a lack in, okay, what do we do instead? I know this isn't right for me, but what can I do instead? Mm-hmm. And so helping those folks get started, finding their natural close is, I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah. And that's me. I mean, I'm not one of those hard closers by any stretch.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Like, I don't have it in me.
I love your vibe, man. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love to kind of jump right in and get into the meat of this stuff.
Sure.
So however you want to get started, do you want me to share your screen? What do you want to do?
Yeah, that works. I'm going to have to jump in and out of this presentation mode. I forgot we were going to go real hard after the 1 minute technique. So I'll have to find that at some point.
We can get there. Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, cool.
So you want me to share your screen?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So I'm here to set people free, help people grow up, and help people get closer to God. If I'm doing that with entrepreneurs, then I'm happy. If I'm doing that with salespeople, then I'm happy. And this is really one of the processes that I've found for accomplishing that. there is an awful lot of bad foundations for new client relationships out there. And if we are focused on starting a relationship the right way, then we are going to have a much easier time in the fulfillment relationship, whether it's a coaching relationship or a service relationship. If we set it up healthily at the very beginning, then we're going to have a much easier time throughout the whole thing. If we're ourselves at the beginning, then we can continue to be ourselves throughout delivery and not have to hide anything, not have to hold anything back, not have to wonder, oh, is this going to land? Oh, are they going to be able to handle this kind of approach in coaching? Am I going to be able to say the hard things in coaching? If you start saying the hard things in sales, then, well, you know that they're going to be okay with it as you go through. So I'm really wanting to help people eliminate the imposter syndrome, which eliminates a tremendous amount of pressure. It eliminates a tremendous amount of the bad kind of drama. There's good drama too, but we want to be able to just cut those things out and have a natural person-to-person conversation that has to follow some certain structures to close, to have a transaction involved, but it doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be salesy. It doesn't have to be inauthentic. Those are words that a lot of people use, so I don't really brand around those words most of the time because I'm proud of being a salesperson. I'm proud of what I sell, and I found that all the high performer salespeople that I know, they need to be proud of what they're selling, and so there are a few ways that we can do that. Let me see if I can. Let's see, clicking through. I'm not going to pitch at the end of this. So this is a note-taking seminar here. So please take notes and review this live and reach out if you need additional details or help. But there won't be any pitch at the end of this. So I think I have already covered most of these here, but the things about high pressure selling, if we are competing with our buyer, it creates weird dynamics. One of the levels of our sales call overhaul pyramid, we've got 7 of them, is all about the framing dynamics. Like, how do you come into that call? How do you, like, what's the first 5 minutes like as far as agenda? What's it like as far as tone? There are so many young guns in the coaching and biz op world who have hired on as a high ticket closer, and they're coming in trying to have an extreme high authority approach, for instance, and they don't know any better. And it's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. They're not murderers because they're doing it that way. It's pretty low stakes as far as life or death situations are concerned, but it doesn't have to be that way either. There doesn't have to be that bravado, that competition. And when you are able to come in with a humble expertise kind of approach, when you're able to come in with humble credibility, then it lets you eliminate a lot of buyer's remorse, refunds, chargebacks. It lets you have a much easier relationship with that buyer. So I want to help you get into the mindset of collaborative selling rather than adversarial selling or competitive selling or high pressure selling, whatever you want to call it. When we have a you versus me mentality, there's got to be a winner and a loser in that situation. When we create a situation where there has to be a winner and a loser, then it doesn't matter what we call it if we're going to feel a certain way about that. And this is not necessary. It's not necessary at all. When we have, I haven't done this presentation in so long. My mouse on screen there. Look at that. So when we have collaborative selling, there are certain ways you can set up a sales call where both of you are, okay, we're on the same page now, and we can now pull together against the problem. We can pull that wagon together and see if we can solve the problem. And I found that for givers, it is far easier, far easier. And so they tend to double their close rate just by using a structure that feels natural for them, because they're confident in the structure, they're confident in their process they're using. And then we have the techniques, the methods that go along with it. But the techniques and methods almost don't matter as long as you can feel good about the process that you're using. Like that one thing alone makes a huge difference. And this, I have found, this mindset is perhaps the biggest thing that makes givers feel good about selling again. It lets them feel proud to be a salesperson. It lets them feel proud to use the word sales instead of selling without being salesy and all that kind of thing. I mean, I know dozens, literally dozens, probably 36 trainers who use that phrase, selling without being salesy. And I get what they mean, but it's not very brandable at this point in 2023. There are too many big people using that kind of phrase.
I love the collaborative selling. I like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it over my career, and it feels good to me. And I finally realized it feels good to a lot of other folks as well. This is a big concept that I want to get people to wrap their heads around. There's no such thing as a script that will magically convince someone. There's no such thing as magic words. I was a clinical hypnotist for 10 years. If there's anybody that ought to know the magic words, it's me. You know, I mean, I was NLP trained, the Tony Robbins stuff. That was the first style of hypnosis I ever learned. And there are plenty of words that can feel magical when you say them, but don't get confused that it was the words that were the magic. It was the feeling that created that tipping point in the call. Experienced salespeople, you can feel when, that's it. We just made the sale. And you might be 4 minutes in, you might be 40 minutes in, but you can feel that tipping point. There it is. And from that point, a lot of what you're doing is just kind of shutting up and staying out of your own way because they're like, if the sale is made, like what's left to do? Let's just let everybody process. Let's the prospect process what they need to process and answer any questions. But that decision, we've probably all seen newer salespeople, usually business owners, who love the coaching aspect of life. They start info dumping on people, right? And they lose sight of the fact that the thing that needs to happen here for the greatest impact on the prospect's life is a decision. It's not information. In this world in 2023, it's very rare that someone can't get access to the kind of information that they need. That is a rare kind of information. So it's the action that gets them the result is what they really need. And that usually starts with a decision. So don't info dump on people. Once you get that magic feeling, once you get the feelings that, okay, there's my sale right there, then learn to get out of your way.
Now I'm going to have a question on that later on, but I won't stop your presentation.
I'm fine with going right there. Whatever works. We'll get as far as we get. Okay.
Yes. So if you get that feeling early on in the call, should you take them through the rest of your framework, or should you just go for, move it up, like fast forward it a bit?
Yeah. It depends on how skilled you are at feeling that feeling. If you are not skilled yet, if you're not confident in your ability to calibrate to someone else's feelings, that's a skill set right there. So if you're not very good at it, you're going to miss it. And it's okay. A lack of a sale is not the end of the world, but you're likely to need to continue with most of the call structures.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily, if I start getting that feeling, I'm going to start cutting a lot of things out of a call that's more scripted, but I am going to make sure that I have covered the main points. What I'm looking for, and I'll show you this in a bit, what I'm looking for is not that I've said a certain thing, but they are but that they are committed to a certain thing. That's what I always care about. When I talk about a close, we'll talk about our triple transparent close here. But when I talk about that, that is, are they closed on it? Not have I said a thing about it. It's, are they committed to this idea? Are they committed to the 3 closes? And so I generally want to know what someone is committed to. And so there are a lot of things I'll make very explicit. I'm not big on ambiguity. I am not a huge fan of ambiguity. And I'll warrant that most people, when there's a significant decision involved, they are not real excited about that idea either. So we want to remove ambiguity. You can cut things short, but I would make sure that the topics are covered in general. I would never cut a piece out of the call. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. We can get to the price upfront technique. There is a myth in the coaching world that if you say the price at the beginning of a call, if somebody knows the price, they're going to run away. Well, they do. But why? Let's get into that a little bit, because that should not be the case, and it doesn't have to be the case. And this is going to give you an option that's going to feel amazing. This is going to change the entire tone of your sales calls if you start doing this. I probably do this 65% of the time. Okay. I'll talk about price very soon in a sales call. Clarity helps, straight to the point. Yep, I agree.
And we talked about this the other day. It's situational, right? So.
It is. Yeah, it is. So we should probably talk about some of the situations where it is very appropriate and some where it's not as appropriate, or it's hard to find your way to doing this. But so I want to, let's just go through it right now. We've done it once, but will you be my prospect here?
Yeah, I'm terrible at this, but yes. Okay,
cool. Well, here's how you know that a sales trainer is psyching themselves up to do role play. They start with your first name. So Ron. Ron, I on this call, I often stutter a little bit whenever I'm doing this technique, because I do it differently every time, and because vulnerability is kind of the point. So, all right, I'm going to get back in the headspace. Ron, I am not the world's smoothest salesperson. I'm a good salesperson, but it's mainly because I let my systems do the emotional heavy lifting and everything. I am feeling a little bit weird about money right now. Do you mind if I just tell you the price, and then we can spend the next 40 minutes figuring out if the value's there, if I solve the problem, and if this is a fit?
Heck yeah. That's basically why I got on the call. I wanted to hear the price. I was interested, but I want to hear the price.
All right, cool. It's $18,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. You okay? All right. I feel a lot better. Do you feel okay?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, so should we keep on talking? Is that even in range, assuming that the value's there, that it's a fit, that it like legit solves the problem, or is that just totally undoable?
I mean, it's definitely towards the upper tier, upper range of, you know, what I could handle. I mean, it'd be pushing it, to be quite honest. That seems like a lot of money.
Okay. Well, let's discuss that carefully as we go then. I want to make sure we address any concerns around that.
Okay.
Cool. And scene.
Yeah.
That's it. So
if they stay on the call, that at least means they're somewhat, like, unless they just cut if they want to still hear what you're presenting, then that's a sign that at least there's a possibility, right?
Exactly. And that, what you gave me there, that's what I would put in the yes category. So they're going to give you 3 answers: yes, no, or maybe. And that was one that I would consider to be a yes answer. Like, it's in the upper limit. It's a lot of money, but kind of that feeling of, I might be able to swing that. So if I'm going to get objections on this price, it's a value objection. It's not an I don't have the money objection. It's not a I can't find a card with that money on it, you know? Yeah. that if you're looking for the cheapest option, it's not us. That same kind of approach is another way of talking about these topics. Yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, if you like, this would be, if you do this and you can figure out how to do it like Jeremy, he's a master at that. I mean, that is very smooth.
I'm a master at being vulnerable and clumsy. That's how I talk about.
I mean, but if you could do that and you could keep people on the call, that is a game. That is a game changer, man.
Yeah.
Because like we all struggle with price objections and people disappearing after revealing the price. So the rest of the call is just building the value, right?
Yep. And rebuilding value. How many times when you talk about price and somebody disappears, you have 4 minutes left to do anything with it. Like you don't have time to let them process and to handle anything. You're at the end. And so if somebody's going to have a significant issue around price or around value, I want to know what it is with plenty of time. I want to know if it's a value thing or if it's a price thing or if it's something else. I want to find out what type of issue I'm dealing with. And then I want plenty of time to suss it out and deal with it together, to collaborate around that thing. So this changes your mindset dramatically. Once you've told someone the price, like you're relaxed at this point. You know you've already done the worst thing you can do on this call. I mean, assuming you're not going to do anything obscene or totally inappropriate, like this is the worst thing you typically do on a call. This is the hardest thing you typically talk about on a call is pricing. So, boy, I mean, Brian Tracy talks about eating the frog, the Mark Twain quote. If the first thing in the morning you eat a live frog, nothing worse will happen to you for the rest of the day. I think we can probably all agree on that typically. So why not get the worst parts out of the way very quickly? So this changes your mindset. It changes your prospect's mindset. It puts you both into collaborative problem solving. And then we have this trusted advisor status that nobody else is willing to gain for themselves. And so when you are willing to take a vastly different approach than most other people are willing to do, it gives you the standout advantage. Like it puts you in a different category entirely than salesperson. Like now we're not having a sales call leading up to a price. We've already had the pricing discussion, enough of it, and then we're problem solving together. It's a very different approach. Now you can have this mindset no matter where in the call you talk about price. I just find that for most people, they have to lean really hard into this for a while to get their minds around it. So to practice it.
Let's rewind for a second because we kind of breezed past it. Maybe you're going to talk about it.
Let me see what else I've got here. Yep. Okay.
Situations where it's appropriate, where it's not appropriate.
Yeah. So it is appropriate when you have agreement, when you have commitments. So in this structure, I'll do it again right quick. Must have really quality and value the product, better pay attention. Yep, it can have that effect. Yep, that's true. So you're getting two commitments. When you do not have the ability to get commitment from someone, so I got two commitments from Ron during that role play. One was, if I tell you the price now, will you stick with me for the next 40 minutes? Yes. Nobody ever tells you no there, but we're activating Cialdini's consistency principle. People want to be internally consistent. They want to be high integrity. They want to be whole. And so you're about to tell them a price and then ask them again immediately. It's very difficult to contradict yourself in that situation. Unless something's badly wrong, people are going to have a hard time contradicting themselves. So it's not about me telling them the price up front. It's about us having a commitment and a discussion around price up front. So when you cannot get a commitment from someone, then price up front is a difficult game to play. I do this on sales calls. I do not typically do this during a 15-minute intro call or a 10-minute intro call.
Sure.
You'll get ghosted a lot if you do this in a 15-minute intro call. If you let those short calls run very long, then you're going to start getting a lot of people asking about price in those calls. So typically, I'll have to dig into Ron's structure a bit more to really speak deeply to this. But typically, you're wanting those first calls to be just long enough to get the decision, to get the hooks set for selling that second call, and then you're good to go. Do you teach setting up a second call, or do you teach extending the first call if they have time and if you have time?
I mean, I do like a one call close typically, but
Yeah. Okay.
you know, you could easily stick a triage call in between that. But
yeah. So once you're into the sales call scenario where both of you know, okay, there could be a sale here, there could be a purchase here, there could be a transaction here, then it is appropriate. Before that, where you're just kind of feeling each other out, it can be trickier, and it takes significantly more tactical calibration, I guess you could say, or yeah, let's just call it that. Tactical empathy. I like that better.
Okay.
So when someone says, yes, I'll stick with you, and then you say, okay, it's $18K. Now will you stick with me? Like, and they say yes again, they've just given you permission to like go through the problem solving process with them, to go through the value building process with them, to go through the uncovery process, the discovery of pain, and the discovery or the building of passion and vision. A lot of people, they need some help building that vision. They're not the expert on it, but everybody knows their pain. We're not here, we're never here to twist the knife, to salt the cut, to back the ambulance up the door to the door. Like I've heard all these things, believe it or not, from various sales trainers. And there's some validity to the ideas, but it's a very cynical way of looking at the world. We're here to give people clarity. We're here to give them the ability to make a healthy, whole, integrated adult decision, but not a pressured decision. We're not here to treat them like children. We're not here to treat them like we know far better than they do. That's one of the dangers of the biz op world, is that there's so many baby business owners in it that A, they're easily bullied, and B, they often don't know. And so the gurus in that space tend to get into an I know better mindset. And it can be very dangerous to the gurus and to the prospects, and lead to a lot of high pressure sales. So it's very much about treating people like adults who can run their own lives. They're missing a piece, and you can help with that piece, but you're not here to run their life for them. Andrew, I love that. Would it be crazy? So I love the no-oriented question there, the Chris Voss style question. And then the if. So you've got a trial close there, and you've got the no-oriented Chris Voss style approach. I love it. Yeah, you get it, man. So one of the other things is people's feelings move slowly. You can have someone who gets mad and happy instantly, but most people take a little more time. Why would we not give them time to process? Like if the price is one of the three most important things they're going to encounter on a sales call, I guarantee you it's in the top three, then why not give them time to feel their way around it and to problem solve? Like, how would I pay for this? Where would I find the money? Would I move money around? Would I fund it? Like 40 minutes to problem solve instead of 4? That's a no-brainer to me.
I have a question. I hate to get off track, but
yeah,
let's say you have multiple levels,
and
let's say you have a done for you offer, which you usually use as, say, a price anchoring.
Yeah.
Would that be the price that you say, or would you say a lower price?
I'll probably say both or all three if there's 3. I would never give more than 3. Okay. 3 would be my max. 2 would be preferable. But I get almost mad when people refuse to give a price because I'm so passionate about this topic here.
Mhm.
I'm like, I know exactly what's going on in your head. And it's just, I understand your desperation, but that is not a game I'm willing to play.
Yeah.
And so I know what I want as a buyer.
Yeah.
I know what my budget is. And if I'm outside of the price, I am simply not interested. Now, if you're familiar with the DISC styles of assessment, the DISC, I'm a high DI. And so I want to move fast. I do a
Same.
fair number of impulsive things, and I want the bottom line always.
Yeah, and I think, and just as we're kind of talking about this, you know, if you're trying to, if the from the buyer's perspective, they want the price. They 100% want
Always.
the price.
They're always going to want it.
They don't want to, and we're at a point of sales call awareness where most people have been through multiple people's sales processes, and they're all very similar.
In almost any industry. Yeah.
You can, like, I know what people are doing during the call, like the different phases of the call they're taking me through. I'm like, I get kind of annoyed. It was like, hey, let's just speed this up. I mean, I know that I'm interested in the product. Let's talk about the product, but most of the time people are not going to give you that price. They're going to say something like, well,
we have a wide range. It's impossible to give a price with the wide range of customization we provide. No, it's not. You could think about it for 20 seconds and give me a couple of samples.
Yeah.
I had that happen in email. I'm actually gonna
or I don't even know if I can help. And I'm guilty of this too. Well, I don't even know if I can help you yet. And I don't really know, if
that is true. That is true.
Right.
Yeah. I like that a lot better, or a lot less bad, a lot less worse. I don't know. English, man. I like that a lot better than we have such a wide range kind of. It's just such an obvious dodge.
Right.
So if I can help you, then we've got two different offerings. One is a $5,500 offering mainly for solopreneurs who are dealing with their own sales calls. And one is an $18K offering that's mainly for installing sales teams and installing sales ops and things like that.
So you go small one first.
What's that?
So you go small one first instead of anchoring and then.
Oh, no. I'm just,
okay,
dude, I seriously make it up as I go every single time. We've got a small one at 5,500. Like, I would give an indication which one you're doing, but you're saying it so fast that they don't really have time for a lot of anchoring anyway.
Right.
So we've got our 18K done for you offering for sales teams when it's time for that. We've got a $5,500 offering for solopreneurs or for a salesperson that's having trouble. So that's kind of where we are. But so that if I have a range of prices, it's going to sound like, hey, Ron, I don't want to make the money thing weird throughout this call, or I'm feeling weird about money, or, hey, do you mind if I tell you the price now so we can get it out of the way and just problem solve for a while and see if it's a fit? Like, it doesn't really matter. This is part of those no magic words, only magic feelings. I have a practice sounding way that I say it, but don't get confused that this is the expert's version. No. This comes out differently every time.
Okay. Got it.
So this is very unscripted. So do you mind if I tell you the price now so that we can problem solve and figure it out for the next 40 minutes? Will you stick with me if I tell you the price now? Yes. Okay. We've got two offerings. We've got two main offerings. I might even do it that way. One is an 18K more for sales teams when it's time for a sales team. One is a $5,500 offering more for sales people. And that's kind of what we're looking at. Are either of those even in range as long as we solve the problem? Like, that's how it can sound.
Okay, great.
And then if I tell you yes, no, maybe, you're good to go. Yeah.
Love it.
So let's see. Jeremy poking around this feels so much better. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you. What if there are two offers with different prices and we need time to understand which is a better fit? I think I've just answered that question in how about let's say both. Yeah. Like, it's not like the technique can only be 59 seconds or less, and if you go over 59 seconds it stops working. Like, you want to keep the ideas together. You don't want a bunch of conversation in between when you're doing this, because you do want the two commitments pretty close to each other. But like, you can talk about two different packages. You're just not describing those packages in detail. You're just, here's the range. All right. Are we good to move on or not?
Okay.
And that's how it works. Yeah. I have not found it makes a difference with plenty of leads or not. I have found that the more pre-sold they are on you, the easier it is to get that commitment to stick with you. Yeah, that's true, Andrew. So let's see. I am not going to go through this, because we're moving kind of slow today. We're going detailed today, and that's fun. But everybody's been in a high pressure call where they save it for the end, and then they ambush you with the price at the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you kind of go through the frame, if you're going to go through the framework or not. I think.
Most of the time with a regular sales call, it's twist the knife, twist the knife, twist the knife. What's your biggest challenge in business? A newbie appointment setter will ask that kind of question right in your DMs. Mm-hmm. Hey, friend request. Hey, like 4 of your things. Hey, Bob, what's your biggest challenge in business? It's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. But with this, you've got a lot of knife twisting. You've got a lot of promises of success. And then you've got, all right, here's the price. Whip out that card, and we've got financing available. Mm-hmm. And it also means that a lot of those high pressure calls run very long. Like it is not uncommon to have 75-minute, 90-minute calls in this format because
in the high pressure format. But the other one, like you're also cutting your call time a lot because you're going to get the
you really can. Yeah, you can cut a lot of your call times. So there we go. Let's just put this on screen. So authority framing. We're amazing at what we do. They do not generally do a lot of good discovery. I found that is a key indicator of high pressure versus people who care about consultative selling. People who are really interested is they're skipping good discovery. And this is the find the pain, twist the knife on pain points, all that stuff. That is just, that's not discovery. That is part of discovery. But discovery is what you think of in enterprise sales with the banked method: budget, authority, need, challenges, timeline. Like, is the budget there? Does this person have the authority to make a decision? Or do they have it today? Do they have a real need for this? Like, that's where the pain is, just that one in letter. And then the challenges is, what would be the challenges of working together? It's not what challenges do you have in your business. It's what would be the actual, like the implementation challenges. Well, I only have 4 hours a week that I could devote to this training program. That would be a common one in the entrepreneurial world. And then the timeline, like I talk about this in my triple transparent close with the big unsolvable problem, return on solution, and then the 4 W's: why this, why now, why us, what else. And that's 80% of my call right there.
So tell us about, so this is the bad framework, right? What's the good framework?
Well, the price upfront mechanic is going to get you largely into the right mindset and into the right framework.
Okay.
So that is kind of where we're going. Do not make the mistake of when you've got a double commitment on price upfront that you're 80% closed. No, you're like 60%. You're not 80%. So don't pretend to yourself. Don't miscalibrate around that. You see, here's the version I have written down here. Now that I've shared the price and you've had your sticker shock, or you can scream on mute, or if I can show you a solution to the actual problem, then is that even in range of being workable? You see, I say it differently every time I do it.
Sure.
So let's find this. This call is not about you. I'm just going to leave my notes on screen if you don't mind.
That's fine.
This call, you don't matter here. The prospect is the one that matters. And if we're going to have a servant's heart, then we need to care about them and fixing their problem. Do we really have a solution for them? I find that even on a well-qualified funnel, and I've been on a lot, and I've advised on hundreds of funnels now, multi-million dollar funnels, a couple of billion-dollar funnels. You still get unqualified people through every filter up until a person, and you're going to find out about that on this call. And you need to be willing to say no at any point as a salesperson, because, oh man, fulfillment's going to be terrible on this, or they really can't take advantage of this. And so being able to have the servant's heart, it's going to keep you out of your own head. It's going to keep you from getting this "am I worthy" kind of approach that makes you feel desperate to people, because you're focused on them. When you're focused on them, it makes just a world of difference. So the transparent triple close. This is it right here. You don't have to have anything more than these three things happening aside from payment details or timelines or etc. This is the sale. So don't wait to start with commitments. That's one of the reasons that I really like to do price up front, is because we're getting commitments from the very beginning. We're trial closing from the very beginning of the call. So let me see if there's anything here. Nope. Oh, I'm not supposed to explain it. Okay, that comes on the next slides. All right. So big unsolvable problem. First of all, is this a problem? Do they actually have a problem? Or do they have a nice to have or a must have? Secondly, is it unsolvable by continuing to do whatever they're doing right now? Third, is it big enough to throw Ron kind of dollars at it? Is it big enough to throw Jeremy kind of dollars at it? When they commit to the fact that they have a problem, gold, move on. When they commit to the fact that they cannot solve this by staying the same, done, move on. When they commit to the fact that this is a big problem, not a small problem, then you're done. Move on.
Until they admit or commit to each one of those things, you're digging in deeper, correct?
Yeah. If they are missing any one of the items in the BUP, then you don't have a sale. Like, there's no sale here unless you have those things. Wouldn't you like to know if you have a sale or not?
Mm-hmm.
What is the easiest way to know? They tell you. I mean, just stay on these things. And it's not that I will hound them on one topic until I get the answer I want. I'm getting the answer, not the answer I want.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the structure that I use. A lot of the things that I do flow between these three closes, or it accomplishes several items at a time. But that part doesn't matter. It's just you're constantly asking yourself, have they committed to the idea that they have a real problem, an unsolvable problem, a big unsolvable problem? And you're testing against that. There's a very explicit way of checking some of these things. A lot of people call it a thermometer, or a 1 to 10, even though there's no thermometer that goes from 1 to 10. They still call it a thermometer. But if I were to ask you, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm ready right now, and 0 being there's no way, leave me alone, you weirdo, then where are you right now? Like, that's one way of checking for people that have a little more trouble calibrating to what's going on in that prospect. And you see it a lot in high pressure funnels. It's not a bad technique, but it's a clumsy technique, and it's kind of trying to get them to do the work for you, and they may or may not be able to do that. So when you can gauge this for yourself without having to ask them artificial numbers and things like that, it gives you a tremendous amount of leverage on that problem. Make sure that they're committed, and that they're committed, and that they know they're committed. Don't assume you know what's going on. Make sure you could write a sentence about their commitment and that sentence makes sense. Then return on solution. This is where we deal with vision or passion or the gap in the gain. Keenan calls it gap selling, where you've got the where you want to be and the where you are now. And I agree with that kind of approach. So when I want to differentiate here for a second between tension and pressure. In a romantic relationship, there has to be tension, but there really shouldn't be pressure. In a sexual relationship, there has to be sexual tension, but if there's sexual pressure, we call that rape, we call that molestation, we call that harassment. We have really bad words for that stuff, you know? It's universally understood to be unhealthy. It's nearly universally illegal, depending on like the culture that you're in and everything. And why is pressuring someone into a different kind of decision any different? I wrote an article a while back called Consent and Sales Rape, and I really do feel that strongly about it. I mean, that I use strong language around this for a very particular reason. But when you have tension, like that's a necessary thing, and you can feel that. We're not trying to remove tension from a relationship. Tension is a natural part of human relationships. You can deal with it in a lot of different ways. Like I can sit here and if I start wondering, well, Ron, he might not agree with me on the way I'm describing some of this stuff. And if I say the wrong thing, he might not invite me back, or he might not be interested in working with me in some way. So I could deal with that by saying something out loud about it and poof, I'm good now. Oh, it was all in my head. And if it turns out it was a thing, then Ron can tell me about it later. Or we can deal with it by any number of techniques, but we're not trying to eliminate tension. We are trying to eliminate pressure. And I just want everybody to have a very solid understanding of the difference between those two. A slingshot being pulled back, that's tension, but that's not pressure. Pressure is the squeeze. Tension is the pull. And they should be building that tension from inside themselves between where they are and where they want to go. That's not something that you can build for them without buyer's remorse. So the return on solution here, I am not talking about all the fake ROI selling. ROI projections are fake. All projections are fake. In fact, when I was selling life insurance and we're in the advising world and helping people do better, the professional financial services people, when we're helping them sell better, one of the things that they have to do is basically disclaim on any slide that shows a graph. The one thing I can tell you is that this projection is false. That's even with whole life insurance, cash value life insurance with a fixed benefit and all that stuff. Like you still have to say, look, this is not going to happen.
Not typical. Results not typical.
Right. But in the financial industry, it's a really strong version of that. It's like they have to go hardcore on that just to be in compliance with the law.
Right.
So it's the same thing with any ROI. I mean, everybody wants to kind of cheat and say, well, it's a money machine. You put a dollar in and you get $5 out. And how many dollars would you put in? And okay, fine. Yes, we get it. But that is not, it's only the first piece of it. The thing that we care about with return on solution rather than return on investment is like, what does this solution actually do for them? What does it really do for them? Does it let them spend time with their kids? Does it let them go traveling with their wife or their husband? Does it let them stop the corporate rat race and move this business out of the side hustle realm? Like, we don't know the answer to that. And it's not just silly to assume you know the answer. It is, I always say, well, I lately always say, if you're selling to an imaginary ideal client, they will pay you in imaginary dollars. you're selling to a real person. Find out what this person wants. It's very easy on sales calls. Marketing is way harder than sales because you have to do a lot of guessing. You're averaging people out. You're trying to aggregate your avatar, all that stuff. But with this,
I'll be honest, this is where personally I get uncomfortable, like digging in, like, oh, so how's this gonna affect your rest of your life? Like, you know, those kind of things just feels weird. It feels manufactured.
Yep.
So
and
do you have any tips around that?
Yeah, find your groove is one of the tips. The other one is play with it. I mean, we literally have an amazing tool now called ChatGPT that when you find a phrasing that you really don't like, go tell ChatGPT, hey, I've got this thing that I say in a sales call and I need to get this concept across, but I really don't like it because it feels manufactured. Can you give me different phrasing? Like I go to ChatGPT 4 or 5 times a day these days when I'm writing emails, I get it to write contracts. Dude, I'm all in on AI, all in. I'm telling you. So that's the cheat answer right there. Go for ChatGPT. That's the let's answer many questions at once kind of thing. But there are plenty of ways that you can do this. One way is to tell stories. So I've got a few clients that when we put their sales process in place and they could finally close, they were able to get off the phones, and that's what they wanted. But I don't know if that's what you want. So kind of like what Andrew was saying earlier, the would it be crazy if approach, in NLP, we have a concept for dealing with polarity responders, the really defiant kind of people. Well, only you know if you can do X. You're the only one who can decide what Y is. You're the only one who can tell me what's the real goal here. And like, is that a similar goal or is that very different for you? I often find that if there's an awkward question that I need to ask, give a couple very short examples, like telling a micro story. I like the way Alex Hormozy talks about it with the way he puts together some of his sales stuff. And there should only be 3 things ever coming out of your mouth: questions, stories, and one other thing I can't remember. But this is part of what he's talking about. So if you have a question that makes you feel awkward, then you can preface it with a little bit of a sample answer. Jill wanted to be able to travel 3 months out of the year.
I like that.
But I'm finding that's not typical. Like, so this person has maybe very typical thing, but not everybody's like that. Like, where are you wanting to go? And so it's almost like disclaiming your own question there. It's kind of cheating your way out of the question.
Yeah, that's good.
So like that's one fun way. And then the other way is very similar to the price up front technique, the elephant in the room process in general, which price up front is a version of that around price. But anything that's uncomfortable, talk about it right now. So hey, I need to know where you want to go with this, but it always sounds so manufactured when I ask the typical, so what's your dreams? What's your passions? But I really do want to make sure that we're a fit, that I'm helping you do stuff that I believe in, that I'm helping you get to places that I feel are healthy. I don't want to help you build something that's going to hurt your family life. You know, tell me about that. Like, what are you really wanting to do? So just explaining your own inner awkwardness, and suddenly it's not awkward anymore. So that's 3 ways you can handle that kind of awkwardness.
Great.
Cool. And then let's see if we can hit the last one real fast. So the 4 W's: why this, why us, why now, what else? And these play back into the BUP and the RAS pretty easily. So, all right, Ron, we're on a call here. This is obviously a sales call, and I'm going to help you as much as I can during this call. Let's get real clear on goals, see if we can work together. Let's see if we have something fun that we can create. Let's see if we have a problem that we can solve. But let's start with, why are you interested in this kind of solution? assuming they know what this kind of solution is. Okay, why not other kind of solution? Sample solution A, sample solution B. Like you're intentionally kind of comparing yourself. I call these honest outs. It's not an alternate close type of approach like well, Mr. Smith, would Tuesday or Thursday be better for you? Well, if we take the deposit now and we run the rest of it, is Thursday long enough or should we wait until Friday? Like the alternate close has it's got its place, but this is the opposite of that. This is a yes or no. You're giving them the opportunity to actually say no with an honest out. And this is a good place for it because you're going to get real data back with all these closes here. So why this? And then why us? Like there are an awful lot of sales trainers out there, and there are a lot of sales trainers out there that teach selling without being salesy or authentic selling and things like that. Why are you talking to me as a sales trainer right now? Why do you care to talk about me? Why do you care to talk to me? Why now? Why are we talking about this now? Why not wait another 6 months? So that is often going to speak back to the big unsolvable problem. Like this problem is becoming dire right now, or I don't want to wait another 6 months to start hitting my goals. So these are helping you with the other closes. It all plays together. And then why not 6 months ago? Well, I didn't know about you 6 months ago. Okay, well, if you did, would we have talked 6 months ago? I don't know. Okay, what's different now? And then the what else? If you don't do this, what are you going to do instead? Can you get by doing nothing? Like that goes back to the big unsolvable problem. It might not be unsolvable. This helped you find out. Can you go to a competitor? Can you solve this problem in a very different way? Can you get somebody on your team to solve this problem? Do you have a friend that can solve this for you for free? Like it's like an honest exploration of what their options really are. If I'm getting on with, I love coaching so much, as you can tell by my incessant talking here today. But if I'm getting on with someone that is in need of clarity, I'll be damned if I'm going to get off that call without actually giving them clarity. You know, I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to make the sale. I make plenty of sales when I get on with the right people. Okay, let's do that. But I'm here to help them make a real decision. I'm here to give them a full picture. And this is these details, like just like the banked, the budget authority need challenges timeline, a lot of newer salespeople avoid asking these because they're just not comfortable. And you can't get around reality. There's no cheat code around reality. This is not the matrix we're living in. You have to talk about hard things sometimes. Okay, let's talk about them. Let's get comfortable around talking about hard things, and let's make them not so hard by being comfortable. But when you keep in mind that your biggest competitor is Mr. Do Nothing, when you keep in mind that you're not being kind by avoiding difficult questions, you're just being wishy-washy and you're killing the sale. The confused mind says no. The incomplete decision is not a real decision. The mind that doesn't have all the information is probably going to be a confused mind. Again, I'm not saying info dump. I hate 4-minute pitches. I hate them, hate them, hate them. It's not what I'm talking about. But they need enough information to make a decision, and they need the commitment to be able to make an effective decision. And then the last piece, obviously, that we have time for today is if you wouldn't let someone see your script, you have a problem with your sales process. If you wouldn't literally expose your webinar on screen, Ron, I'm going to show the bottom part of this. Like I do this webinar, I've got another fair number of slides, and then I've got this big pitch at the end. Like I'll show it to everybody. Like if you would be deeply uncomfortable showing everybody your stuff, why? Why are you so uncomfortable showing them that stuff? I mean, let's just Yeah, you can't sell a secret. I like that, Andrew. I like that a lot. That's great. So that's the big thing. If you can write a script, if you can write a call flow that you would be 100% comfortable exposing to your prospect, you're in a good, healthy place with that. Now, whether it sells or not, okay, we can work on that. There's skill involved in selling. There's skill involved in scripting and call flows and et cetera. But if you would feel comfortable exposing the entire thing, exposing your notes to that future client, that's a good starting point. So I hope that helps everybody.
No, this is great, man. It really aligns with the way I want to be selling, and also the way that we generate leads and sales calls, because it's all finding people that are interesting, bring them into our world, get them on a call, and then help see if we can help solve a problem. And that
was what drew me to you. Yeah.
And so I don't think I have it in me to sell any other way. So I don't think so. So this is great, man. I loved it. I don't know if we got some time to take questions or not. Okay.
Well, let me make sure before I commit here.
And do you have anything that you want to?
Half an hour more.
First of all, how can people get in touch with you? Did you have anything you might want to share with people?
Sure. We've got a PDF around some of those points from the 7 levels of the sales call overhaul, and it might be some of the ones that we covered today. So there might be some good reminders in there, but it might be different points entirely. Go to sales call.
I'll tell you, we'll get people to comment. Let's get
right. Okay. Yep, that works. Because I've forgotten the URL, and my people would kill me if I gave the wrong one.
Yeah, so we'll make sure everybody that comes in for the replay and all that can get it. So if you want Jeremy's sales call overhaul, just type in overhaul below, comment overhaul below, and we'll make sure you get it. Okay. Yeah. Overhaul. That might be a tough one, but we'll see if that gets
or SCO, sales call overhaul. SC.
One of those two.
Sure. One of those.
Or just say, hey, I want the PDF. Whatever.
Yep. We'll see it.
All right.
We'll go for it.
So does anybody have any questions? We got a couple of people saying overhaul. Awesome. Anybody got any questions for Jeremy before we let him go?
Yeah.
I got a question while we kind of wait.
Sure.
The 4 W's. Are you kind of asking those one after the other, or are you kind of sprinkling it out throughout the phone call? Or is that kind of the framework?
I'm generally sprinkling.
Okay. Yeah. So that's almost like the framework of the call is like,
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. I use those a lot. Thank you. Yeah. There's a lot in the big unsolvable problem, the return on solution, and the 4 W's. Like that's 80% of the call right there. Mm-hmm. Like 80% of the call time should be spent on making sure you've got those 3 items. And so it has to kind of follow the conversation a fair amount. But you'll notice if you have a cheat sheet with those on it, I laminate things a lot of times so I can just mark down, do I got it? Do I not got it?
What you should do is
what's that?
Because I started taking notes on sales calls. If you could create a book with check marks and note sections, man, I'd buy that. Yep. I'd buy a whole
year's
worth of. Yeah.
We're actually working on something very similar to that right now. I think I showed you that with your private clients, I'm going to give them the self-coaching template for the real breakdowns with the graphs and everything in it. The pretty it's not pretty, but the really high function version. I got to get a graphic designer to go after it. But for that is in large part what that's designed to do. But yeah, we could go for a notebook version of that too.
I'm telling you,
that sounds fun.
Okay. I thought about just doing it myself, but yours would be way better.
Gladly.
So, anybody got any last questions? I'll ask one more and I'll let you go because I'm interested in this. So through the consultative approach, I'm assuming you're doing a pretty good job. So especially with the price objection or the price up front, that you're not getting a ton of objections at the end, but I'm assuming you still get objections.
Right.
And probably if you have that objection, that means you didn't build enough value along the way, or you didn't create enough tension, or whatever the case.
Maybe. Yeah. Very, very commonly. Yeah.
So, do you, I mean, I'm sure you do, but do you spend a lot of time with your, training your, when you're training somebody to focus on objections, or is it more heavily the framework, those kind of things?
Yeah. Let
Or
me
maybe
show
you think
one more.
objection answering
Yeah.
is super important.
I'm going to share my screen again to show the pyramid here.
Okay.
If I can get back to that point where, okay, there we go. Entire screen. Okay. So this is a different slideshow. So this is the 7 levels of sales call overhauls. The foundation is objection catalyst. I care deeply about objections. I do not teach people to rebut objections or to handle people around objections. We're focused on transforming objections. And you've kind of hit the nail on the head that is the framework itself deals with a lot of those objections before you ever get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the elephant in the room technique, of which price up front is one type, whatever the objections are, you should be handling that as soon as possible, either in your sales call when you don't have control over the marketing, or in your marketing. Like if you have a funnel that lets you do marketing rather than prospecting, the marketing should be handling objections over and over and over. Good webinars, hundreds. I've edited hundreds of webinars, and the good ones, they blast objections over and over and over. It's like belief blaster city,
Yeah.
And so you handle objections as early in your funnel as is appropriate. Every funnel's different. I don't want to make blanket statements around that. But when you have something that you know is a common objection, like if your avatar is real and not imaginary, then you ought to know their 5 biggest objections to signing up with you. Objections are signals a prospect wants to buy but has a problem to solve. Yep. I also differentiate significantly between buying questions and objections. And I think that's kind of what Andrew's talking about there. I like to get the sellers with social anxiety or with sales anxiety. I like to get them out of the mindset that every question is an objection. And so I tend to call them buying questions instead. But I think Andrew and I are on the same page there, as we are on many things, as it turns out. I'd love to meet you, Andrew. So there are like a buying question, like how would we do this? Or how would X work? Or when does this happen? Or like, is X deliverable in the program or something like that? That's not what I consider an objection. That's a how do I get closer to the finish line type of question on their part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a useful distinction to make in your own head so that you can be, the Tai Chi relaxed tension, or the reeling silk when you are in movement, you're in action, but you're relaxed at the same time. It lets you go good places in your own head as a salesperson to think of it as buying questions. So not all objections are objections. A lot of them are signals they want to buy, but they have a problem to solve. So that's why the collaborative problem-solving approach to selling, it's a big part of what makes it work, a big part. I have it at the foundation for a reason. And then, but addressing it first, it lets you control the frame. It lets you, there is an element of leadership, good leadership, that we can call it manipulation, we can call it persuasion, we can call it anything we want, but influence is real, and we need to be cognizant of not just our responsibility, like the Tai Chi term, not just our responsibility. I'm not saying don't influence people. Like, I'm a hypnotist. I know about influence, and I believe in influence. Like, hypnosis is the placebo effect writ large to make someone stop bleeding in their gums at the dentist or whatever. Like influence has its place. It's really, really important. It has a huge place in the world. We're not talking about stopping influencing. We're talking about doing it in ways that make things easier for everybody to get and to approach from an adult perspective. Slavery versus employment. Those are two very different things, and they largely have to do with the level of influence that is applied. An employer can't dictate things. They shouldn't be able to dictate things. But an owner can. We don't own people. We employ people. We don't own people. We sell things to people. We don't own kids. We have kids for a while and we help them grow up. We don't own a romantic partner. I mean, this is my wife. This is my girlfriend, but she's not really yours, is she? Like, she's her own person. Mm-hmm. And treating her like an adult is the only way you two are going to be happy together. So it's the same kind of thing. I don't know. That was a long answer to a short question. Did I answer it?
Yeah, I think so for the most part. Okay. Man, this is awesome. I know we're about 10 after. I mean, people must have loved this because we stayed at about 28 people the whole time.
Oh, so, man. Wow.
Yeah, and we're getting lots
thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Overhaul. So, yeah, we'll make sure y'all get, Jeremy will make sure y'all get all that presentation, and I'll definitely follow up with it.
It'll be either me or Omer that will be reaching out from one of our profiles. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was awesome. Like I said, it really aligns with the way I want to be selling. I took a ton of notes. I'm going to rewatch this, hopefully sit down with you again, with a mastermind people and go through.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate it, man. And if everybody wants, we'll bring you back and maybe we'll dig deep into something else. Objections.
All right. I'm down.
All right, everybody. Thank y'all. And we will see y'all next time. Bye.